represent and the importance of relationship to what you do. So we'll start with you, Rose.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Rose Lita. I work for the Great Nation Media Group that has over 50 million views online to date, which is a great feat for us. I'm not marketing, but make sure you watch your 9 o'clock news today. Anyway, I'm going to start by giving you a story, and it's in line with something that Lauren said. I worked in an organization where I had a terrible relationship with a manager. Now, when you're a female, and I'll address the women especially, it's really hard when you have a male boss that you don't get along with, because everybody tells you you can't cry in the office. Yeah, so you go for a meeting and you feel like you want to cry, but you can't because you've been made to almost feel like you're so small and you're a fool or whatever it is. And it was very difficult. So I became very frustrated. But in retrospect, that whatever the relationship with this boss was, it's actually made me a much stronger person, and it's also made me aware of the people that I work with, that there are people who have different emotional quotient than I do. So people have different emotional levels. So as a business owner and a business manager, you must also be aware that people are different, and therefore you must treat people as different as they are. There's some people who are more sensitive than others. There are people who are harder than others, and so you need to understand that. And one of the things that you must ask yourself as a business manager is your top 5 employees, the ones you like most, yeah? What do they say about you if you're not there? Most of them will say the nice things, yeah? But it's very important to also consider what your bottom 5 employees think about you. The reason why I'm concentrating on your employees is because a lot of times we're busy building relationships outside the office with customers, but we don't realize even the people who work with us or work for us or reporting to us are also human beings, and they are our customers as well. And therefore, remember, at the end of the day, these people are supposed to be your salespeople. They're supposed to sell you out there. If they don't say good, positive things about you, then even when they go out there, they're saying the same negative things to other people about you, and therefore your business is suffering. So it's very important that even before you do customer service on the outside, you do customer service on the inside as well. So it's very important to be aware of people's emotional quotient, the EQ, so that you can know how to address some of the issues. And then the other thing is you must always be prepared to lose people. Sometimes we're scared of losing people, but be open about it. I have no problem when somebody tells me that they want to move on to a better place or a better organization, or they think it's a better opportunity. Once you build a relationship with someone, remember wherever they go to, they will say good things about your business, and that's how sometimes you actually do get business referrals or repeat business or stuff like that. So it's very important to let people go. Yeah, always be ready to let people go.
Wow, thank you. That actually brings a whole other aspect to relationships, because I think we'll be looking at it outward, so soon we're looking at. So I'm going to ask you to now answer 2 questions for me. First, tell me how it is relationships with the industry you're in, and I know your company has you have a big team of people. How do you manage your relationships internally? Welcome.
Okay, good evening. My name is Wangoi Joro. I run Extra Dimensions Company Limited. Just the other day is when most of the events companies that are run by very dynamic people came together and decided that we must form our own association, because through the events industry, you work and get business by nothing else other than relationships. Every type of business or every work that you do is through a referral from someone. And because for events it's very visual, you have got to be seen what you have done. So those referrals are very, very important. So for the industry, it is also dynamic in the sense that those same relationships and the contracts that you sign with the clients are also broken by the same clients because of that same relationship. because you have, by the time you are even coming to do an event, just one event, you have met like maybe 10 times. So out of that, a great number of people will become your friends because you have got to understand your client, first of all. What is it that they want? What is it that they are expecting you to deliver? So by the time you get to that, you already know them and you are on a very friendly basis. So by the time you are even getting to payment, it becomes an issue now because you have already done the event, then they come back and they tell you, this and this happened, we don't have enough money, there is no budget. So it becomes catch-22 because you do not know now how to handle that situation. But from my own experience, what I have learned to do is to separate myself from the friendship and be very, very, very clear. Get your documentations right. Even sometimes we go to lengths where you have to take photos of the event because later on the client comes and tells you, no, I did not see one table, or there were no flowers or some such thing, just so that they evade the payment, because it is a line that normally when we have corporate clients, you work with an LPO. You wait 30 days, it goes to 60 days, it goes to 120 days, and by the time you are getting to 120 days, you've done another 40 events. So the association that now we have formed will take care of, will look to arbitrating on behalf of the supplier. In the events industry, relationships are very important, but at the same time, it is very tricky. What we have started, the association, which we are calling EMAC, Events Managers Association of Kenya, I think is really going to help us rope in and control some such relationships.
Rose Luther, you've been in marketing and in the service industry. Rose Luther has been at Britam and Barclays Bank previously and at NMG. The question I have in the service industry, and more so because you're a marketer, I believe only marketers and lawyers can tell you a lie with a straight face.
I had a client. I also have experience in the agency. I had a client who was very difficult, a female client. And someone told me that she had a child who was unwell. And so maybe that was an angle to try and approach her from. So one time after a meeting, I asked her, how is your child? And she was taken aback. I'm like, yeah, I understand she's in hospital. I would like to go and visit her. I don't think I was pretending, but I think sometimes you have to. And she actually said, yeah, you can come and she gave me some details and I did go visit her child. And from that, our relationship started to change. Like I alluded to it before, we're emotional beings, yeah? So if I find a point where I can connect with you from an emotional level, I think the relationship from a business perspective will work. Sometimes I remember that even when we didn't have billings, we were all, we had billings every month we had certain billings we had to get to. If I had a relationship with a client, it was easy for me to call and say, this month I'm a little behind on my billings. Can you give me some advertising so that I can meet my billing revenues and targets and stuff like that? And therefore, because I have a relationship with you, it's easier. Sometimes you have to pretend, I think so. I've never had to pretend, but I guess I would if I had to. I would if I had to. Because at the end of the day, I know what I need to achieve, and if I need to achieve it, I will use whatever means necessary. It almost sounds like I'm a little manipulative, but no, it's
okay. It's an
so
industry.
But yeah, I think that kind of getting a personal relationship with someone does count for something. Yeah? Don't you agree with me? Yeah, don't you agree that it matters? If we have a relationship, it's easier to do business. So it has to have some boundaries, but it's important to have a relationship, I think.
had the definition of golf, eh? Okay. Now, Okoye, another question for you. You talked about having clarity up front and being firm at the beginning. So the question is, from your perspective, how are you able to tell people to be firm without pushing them away?
Okay, that definitely has come with a lot of experience, because initially you really want the business, and you're willing to take in all their demands. So you sit there and you do whatever they want. But as you go along and as you get better and better in your line of business, what I have found that is of value is, first of all, to show your client the difference that you will make by giving them the service. So I have found also being very truthful as much as you can, and being straightforward has really helped, because that is what builds trust. So if I say that probably I'm going to arrive at 2 o'clock and I'm late, I will call you and tell you, listen, I'm running late, but I'm able to call you because we have a relationship. So that now also goes into trust, because then the client is comfortable that whatever you're telling them, 99% is the truth. Sometimes 1% you have to lie, because that is the service industry. And then what happens is that also the client sometimes will be in the wrong. But when they are, it is never an issue. So when you are, it is always an issue. They write you emails and what. But if you have strived to minimize those emails coming to you, then even when they do come, it is very easy to handle them, because it is not something you are having to deal with on a daily basis. So I believe the honest truth and being very open to your client. When something is not possible, do not say yes. It is better that business passes you, because your integrity is also at risk. So you have to check and see where is it that you will be fortifying your name and where you'll be losing it. Because sometimes, fine, we like to make business, it's money and everything, but sometimes you might end up losing a lot more.
Tell me, what's the value of building relationships with people? Because what tends to happen, everyone in here is in business. And what I foresee happening after this, when people start networking, someone will pull out their card. Yeah, what do you do? Oh, I do this. Oh, okay, thank you. And then you do what? Because you realize there is no way in heaven, I'll never need that. Like, for example, you do digital security, and African wants to learn by an agriculture. So, immediately he sees your card, he'll tell you, thanks, but he'll do out of politeness. But what's the value of building a relationship with someone outside your scope? Has it ever helped you? Or do you think it's you don't spend that energy focusing in your area of interest?
I think everybody I look at, even if they build golf courses, is a business opportunity. And the reason is very simple: referral. I may not want somebody who builds a golf course, but I may have somebody who asks me, do you know anybody who builds a golf course? And I will remember there's a gentleman or lady I met who does that. So there's referral business definitely is a key thing of why you should build relationships even with people you don't think you need in the short term. Yeah.
As Rose was speaking, I'm just trying to recollect on any one such incidents where I have met someone who is totally, because in the events industry, everybody is your client. Some of them, you are wondering, why haven't we ever heard of Wambui? Some of you might be wondering who I am. You've never heard of me. But if probably the people who are here who know me are like saying, oh, I know her, and maybe they're telling the next guy, that is Wambui, I know her. So if I can strike a relationship with all of you, like line up.
That's the microphone. So, and by the way, the country will be launching a new mortuary, so I guess there's an event there. Any questions or comments before we wrap up? Yes, please.
So I'd just like to share with you some observations which I saw, because I know many of us here are either aspiring family business owners, or already are family business owners, or people come from family businesses. It said that the first generation builds a business, the second generation enjoys the wealth, and the third generation destroys it. That is an adage which applies all over the world. But looking at it closely, one of the things that we realize is that the reason why this happens is because the first generation had very strong relationships with the clients, etc. The second generation said, hey, the wealth is being built, we have to enjoy it. So they didn't really take too much attention into looking at and taking care of those relationships. And sometimes the first generation, the founding generation, was so busy building the business, and they didn't even build a relationship with their children, the second generation. So the kids didn't understand or didn't really appreciate the fact that these are assets that we need to both enjoy but also need to grow them and protect them. But it all is about relationships, because many of us parents, we build the business, we are so busy out there, but we don't know our kids. We don't know the second generation. And so by the time they're grown-ups, we want them to come and run the business. They tell you, hey, Dad, I'm busy in my big job in the bank. They're not interested. So my observation has been that the aspect of building a business and moving it from one generation to the next, which is what I do and what I advise families, 70% of the success will not be whether you have a foundation or whether you put a trust into place, or whether it's going to be what kind of relationships do you have in the family. And those relationships, are they constantly being is manure, and they're being nurtured, etc. So that's an observation, and I just thought I could share this because many of us are in family business, and it's something. And lastly, it's building a relationship with the family, but also building a relationship with the business, because these two are different. So these are just some of the interesting things about relationships which you constantly see. And we read about the good stories in the papers, we also read about the not the good stories in the papers, but just some of our observations. Thank you very much.
Robert is a film and television producer. He works in Protel Studios. Robert, you're in the film industry, and many times you guys are behind the scenes. But tell me, how important is relationships in your line of work and even in the industry in general?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Robert. Most people call me Bob. As he mentioned, we're in the television production industry. Relationships are everything in our industry. There's no way we can get